You're listening to The Paul Higgins Show, where ambitious tech consultants come to unlock their potential. After 18 years as a global leader, I launched several businesses, culminating in a successful exit. I'm sharing what I learned, plus what's working now from mentoring tech consultants. You will hear leaders within our industry to help you build a business you love that allows you to do what you want. If you are looking for immediate cash flow wins to fuel your growth, go to our free ebook at paulhigginsmentoring.com/roadmap. Imagine you're wearing too many hats, but you can't afford to hire someone locally, or you think you don't have the time. Hello, this is Paul Higgins. Welcome to my show, episode 546. And in today's podcast, I talked to Matt Yahes from Extend Your Team about outsourcing and the three key things that you should listen to this for is one is, and in particular, why hire top talent in the Philippines. The second is what they can do to you to help you grow. And the third thing is a fantastic example of a chief of staff role that we have for one of our clients and the difference it's made in his business. Matt Yahes has spent his life building businesses, big and small, from the ground up. He always believed in the power of outsourcing because he's seen it work time and time again for himself and for others. But he has often met with skepticism from entrepreneurs that don't think it's possible to find top remote talent that could seamlessly integrate within their business, especially since most outsourcing companies were in the business of staffing bodies instead of competent team members. Together with the management team and a collection of business leaders, Matt has founded Extend Your Team to serve as your trusted partner in your business looking to do outsourcing right and in particularly grow. You can watch Matt and I on video at Paul Higgins Mentoring YouTube channel. And what I'll do now is hand you over to Matt Yahes from extendyourteam.com. Great to have you here, Matt.
Nice to see you, Paul. How you doing this morning or evening for you?
Evening for me, morning for you. You're in Puerto Rico?
I am, San Juan.
Yeah, beautiful. And I'm in cold, wet Melbourne. But I'd much rather be where you are. But look, it's fantastic to have you on. I know you were once a client. I've had clients that have used your services we'll talk more about. So yeah, I've known you for a long time. I really enjoy working with you and really excited about having you on today. But why don't we kick off with who your ideal clients are and what problems you love to solve for them?
My ideal client is a client who wants to grow. They're anywhere from 1 to roughly 50 employees, anywhere from a few 100,000 to tens of millions in sales. The idea is, it's a psychographic more than let's say a specific industry. It's someone who's ready to take the next step and start scaling.
Right. And that the scaling, what do you define as scaling, I suppose? What
I define scaling. So in the context, let's talk about if you're a solo operator. The way I describe it is you're ready to fire yourself. You're sick and tired of doing everything. It's just, you can't grow. There's only so many hours in the day. You're executing and you're actually selling and you're doing operations and all this stuff. It's just impossible to get to the next level. If you already have a team, right? Let's just say, okay, you're out and you've taken the next step. I have, a few people working for me. And you're still where you're stuck is I'm doing too much operational things. I'm doing things like answering your email. You're doing things like billing, following up with clients, all these things that you should not be doing when you should be selling.
Yeah. And look, I always say, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. And there's a long list, and I've got a background in outsourcing as well. And yes, so often people spend that valuable time, because time's your most valuable asset as a business owner, doing things that you can do, but you shouldn't do, like we just said. And for you, geography-wise, like where are most of your clients based?
Right now, most of our clients are based in the United States, but we've had clients in Australia. I've had a few in Europe over the years.
Right. And then your team, where's your team based, or the team members that you provide to them?
100% in the Philippines.
Yeah. And why the Philippines? You could have chosen anywhere in the world. Why did you choose the Philippines?
Well, for me, I chose the Philippines actually out of experience. So I haven't just owned an agency. I've scaled multiple businesses using Filipino talent. I discovered the Philippines. I mean, I say discovered, obviously it was there. Uh, when I had an e-commerce business. And the guy who taught me how to do this became a client. And so, what he showed me is you can find great operations talent. Really, people can help run your business day to day at all levels in the Philippines. They're caring, they want to take care of your customer, they're easy to work with. And most importantly, if you do it right, despite what people have probably told you, they're very, very loyal. And for me as an operator, that's what I value. Not to say there are I mean, honestly, there are fantastic places all over the world. This is just where I started.
Yeah, yeah. And look, I know the government, the infrastructure, the way that they've set it up, the universities, it's all, I think, cultural, like you said, is very much very helpful, loyal, trusting, but they've also had the support by the government to grow it as a great place for doing this business. But I know when you and I worked together, we sort of discussed we don't need another the world doesn't need another VA company, right? There was a lot of virtual assistants out there for $5 an hour or $2 an hour, whatever it was. And you said, I'm not going to be like that. So take us a little bit about how you positioned yourself different to a lot of the other providers out there that have predominantly got their people in the Philippines.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Like you said, the world does not need another VA agency, but more specifically, the world did not need another low cost, low skilled VA agency. When people think of Philippines, the first thing I will go 100% of the people say cheap. That's it. They don't say good. They just say cheap or inexpensive. What happened was when I had my e-commerce business, I was going to China, and my wife said, "Why don't you hire someone in the Philippines to run the business?" At the time, it was doing about 5 million in revenue, and I said, "Honey, you can't get a high level VA like that in the Philippines." She laughed at me as wives do, and she says, "It's 100+ million person country. Yes, you can find someone." And so I set out to find someone, and I found someone who ran the business with zero experience in e-commerce better than I was running it. When I started my next business, I said to her, this is during the pandemic, I said, "Can we find more people like you?" She goes, "Yes." I go, "Great. Let's go." And I know the problem. The problem is you can find hundreds of people on very well-known job platforms to apply for your job. It is very difficult to find someone good. So I said, let's go find higher level talent, higher skilled talent further in their careers who may not traditionally be a virtual assistant. And let's go find them. And we did. While we charge more, we are certainly at the higher end of the spectrum for Filipino talent. Our people cost more. They're mid-career professionals. They're not 1 to 2 years out of undergrad who add no value, or I shouldn't say that, add less value to the business
Yes.
and require more oversight.
Yeah.
We find people that we call chief of staffs or skill people who actually help you move the needle.
Yeah, and I love that. I remember when you first came up with that terminology, and I think it did create a new category, so to speak. And you're right. And look, as a rough rule of thumb, when I used to be in the outsourcing business, it was about a third. So the Philippines was about a third of the cost base of what it was in the US. How's that changed? Is that still a third as a rough rule of thumb, or has it gone up or down?
So I'd say that's about right. We start talking about higher level talent. The interesting thing about the Philippines is dollar for dollar, when you go up the salary curve, you're getting so much more money,
Yes.
right? So you start talking about, especially with salaries now in the US, which have gotten very, very high. I mean, even for a frontline retail worker, it'll be 20 to $25 an hour, right? So you start getting skilled people, you're talking 70, 80, $100,000.
Yes.
So it's still, yeah, I'd say it's about that.
look, let's call it a rough rule of thumb, a third. But like you said, the benefit, I've got a team still in the Philippines, even though so my business, my back end is still run out of the Philippines, and I've had people with me for 8 years, and no matter what my business evolution's gone through, I've sort of kept them, and they are incredibly loyal. They're easy to recruit, i.e., there's lots of them, like Linda, your wife, suggested to you. I certainly found a lot harder to hire onshore. That was some of the things that I've seen. But tell us some of the other myths. Like I know the time zone difference often comes up where American people will say, "Look, but they're not in my time zone, right? How do I work with someone that's not in my time zone?" What do you say when you get that as an objection?
They will work on your time zone. And actually, the thing that was hard for me to understand at first, they prefer it a lot of times because it gives them more time with their family. So, the nice thing about the Philippines is the large business process outsourcers and the large US companies, like the banks, have all been outsourcing for many, many, many years. So, there is a whole workforce that is used to working the overnight shift, which is our daytime. And, as very family oriented people, this gives them time to be with their kids. So it's really not a problem. The people you get know they're going to work overnight, and that's their choice.
Yeah.
Another myth is you're going to get someone for $5 an hour that's going to change your life, and you're going to manage them like $150,000 employee in the United States.
Yes.
Just not true,
Yes.
right? It's just not true. If you go that route, which is fine, right? You can do it. You're going to get someone very junior who requires a lot more management and a lot more systems to be in place. And if that's the route you want and you've never done it before, expect, I would say, 18 months of work of hiring and firing to figure it out. You can do that route. It is possible, but you're still going to get a junior resource that can't manage and do things or take care of your clients. English also may not be as good. So the myth about English is that English is perfect in the Philippines. It's not. There are many people that speak perfect English,
Yes.
right? Or with a slight accent. Those people just cost more money. They're better educated. They've worked more in the US for US or Australian companies or English speaking companies, and they just command more in the marketplace.
Yeah, and look, I think the time zone I completely get. I think the cost base I get. I think the other thing you were talking about then was some of the tasks that they could do, right? So you sort of started at the start. You said sort of email, etc. But give us a bit of a window into what are some of the tasks that a chief of staff could do for a business owner today?
Sure. So I would say number one would be client management. So relevant to a lot of people you speak with. I speak to clients when I do a sale. I don't speak to clients after, unless they want to talk to me. And I'll check in and things like that. But
Yes.
I'm not day to day. I'm the absolute worst person for them to speak to,
Yes.
right? So client management's number one. Certainly emails.
Yes.
I was talking to someone the other day who is a financial advisor, right? And I said to him, he's saying how much email he does. I go, you're terrible at your job. It takes back, he laughs. He goes, why do you say that? I go, you're doing email. You're a financial advisor. That is not your job. You're not supposed to direct. Now, someone will say, well, I don't need someone high level to do my email. Well, that is true, but you want someone who's very good English and can be professional to respond to all your clients so they don't make you look stupid,
Yes.
right? So what else could they do? Certainly marketing tasks, things like that. Manage other team members. So if you have a bunch of contractors, this person can manage them. Billing, deal with money. My quote unquote VAs have access to my bank account. Now I put controls in so I know what's happening. I do not initiate wires. I do not pay anyone. And I have a lot of people on payroll. They do it all. They can help you grow your business, right? I'm moving one of my team members who started my business with me into sales, right? I personally, for what I do, I actually like to speak to people,
Yes.
but she started the company with me. She helped grow it to hundreds of people. and she knows the product better than I ever will. So she's going to start doing sales. And by the way, if I told you her English was perfect, you couldn't tell her that she's not in the United States. So
Yes.
it's really the gamut of higher level thinking, right? Anything operations, task oriented, taking the ball and running with it, they could do.
Yeah. And what should, you're sitting here listening to Matt and you're thinking, God, this is perfect for me. I really need, another year's gone by where I'm doing things that I shouldn't do. I'm missing, family activities, or I'm at activities and I'm not present. It feels like I'm never off. Haven't taken a holiday in 2 years, et cetera, et cetera, right? You know all the things that you're currently doing at the moment that you don't disclose. If I've got to that stage, Matt, what do I need to prepare to be ready to get a chief of staff from you?
Yeah. So I think the first thing you need to do is spend 5 days. Okay. And it's really simple. Draw two lines and just say, and one column is strategic. Well, it's a one line, and the other column is tactical.
Yes.
Okay. Everything that you do goes into, and just do this for 5 days. That's it. That's all you really need to do. Everything that requires your skill and knowledge, you specifically put in strategic. That's not replaceable. Everything else goes into tactical. And what you're going to find is 80 to 90% of what you do is tactical, and only 10 or 20% is strategic.
Yes.
Once you have that, contact us and we can help you go through the whole process. You don't need SOPs. We can help you with that. You don't need to write a job description. We're going to do it for you. Just do that simple task. Take the first step, and then let's talk.
And I think progress always trumps perfection. I think this is a perfect case, right? You don't have to be 100% ready. I heard so many people suffer the pain longer than they should because they're saying, I'm not ready yet. And I'm like, not ready. When will you ever be ready, right? Like, I'm sure if I call you in 6 months' time, you're going to say the exact same thing to me. Now is the right time. And the other thing about the training, I just want to relay back to what you said before. Like, yes, you can get people at different price points, lower price points, lower skills, etc. But what I used to say to people when we had high quality VAs was, let's say your average hour is $100 an hour, right? Is your revenue capacity. For some of you, that's too low. Some of you should be at, $500 an hour if you're doing consulting. And, each hour it's taking you to train, retrain, follow up, etc. It's not at the cost of what they're at. So let's say it's $5 compared to 25 is, let's say rough rule of thumb, a junior VA versus a chief of staff. It's actually costing you the $500 an hour to actually train and retrain people. And I think that's why I've got Matt on, and that's why I recommend his business, because I know that he's going to provide someone that you don't have to constantly retrain and you don't have to constantly hold their hand, right? Because they've already had a successful career, but they just want to either work from home or they want a different environment. And let's face it, like some of the corporates, it's not a great place for everyone to work in. Suits some people, but doesn't suit everyone. And if you've just had a child, either way, if you're the husband or the wife, and you want to work from home more and be with your family, this is a great opportunity. As far as some of the things that people that aren't ready, so I know we said let's start, right? But what are some of the people not ready, but just more from a mindset point of view? You're in a sales call and you just think, I don't think this person gets it. What's that look like?
I think it's actually exactly what you said. I'll talk to you in a few months, and I'm not ready. I need to do X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z, I need to grow my business. Actually, the number one thing is when my business gets to X, I can afford it.
Yes.
Okay. And so if you're starting out, I get it. If you're like one person and you have one client, I get it. But these are people who have clients and make money. Now, here's my personal view. And by the way, I'm an entrepreneur. It's not like I've just sold VAs. This is my fourth business I scaled. And the last one I scaled was to 900 people. So I know from 0 to 1 and 1 to 900. Okay, this is the thing. If you have a business and you're making money, you know what's preventing you from making more money? All the things you're doing that have nothing to do with making money.
Yes.
And this is the number one thing is I'm too busy. I don't have time. When I get to X, I can do it. But what if you had 30 hours free to go get clients?
Yeah.
I don't know about you. If there's a problem with your business, if 30, and I say 30 because not even 40, 30 hours to get more clients, 20 hours to get clients. That's actually the number one thing that people forget. What if you had more time to market and grow, network, right? The other thing is, I only have 20 hours of work, but I don't want to hire for 40.
Yes.
I can
Yes.
guarantee you, and I say this guarantee you, within 90 days, you're going to have 40 hours of work for that person because you're going to be like, I'm paying them for 20. Go, 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 and just keep on pushing stuff. Right. So you're going to do that. Also, you're going to get more business. If in 90 days you're not getting more business or on the path, there's a problem with your business. So those are the two biggest problems I see why people say no. I understand because I've been there.
Yes.
I don't think it's the right way to think about it. It's not a growth mindset. You know, for us, I can tell you, and I designed it this way on purpose. We don't have long-term contracts. It's like a regular hire, right? It's a 30-day rolling contract.
Yes.
So you can always let the person go. So yes, you're investing money. Yes, if it doesn't work out, but if you're not growing and it doesn't work in 6 months, okay, let the person go.
Yes.
You're not in a year, 2 year contract. This isn't a BPO. This is how I would think. Have the growth mindset and just forget about what you think and listen to people like Paul who've grown businesses multiple times and take that first step.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think you're right. Like our biggest inhibitor to growth is normally ourselves, right? We're the owner of the business, and normally the market demands there, everything's there. It's just us that stunts our own growth. So completely agree. I think the other thing that I say to someone is like, that I love the exercise of, doing the T where you've got strategy and tactic. The other one is I ask people, so how much time did you spend on sales and marketing this week? And most people sort of look at me and it's like sheepishly, and I'm like, well, come on, tell me. And they're like, well, I don't know, 5% of my time. I'm like, it's got to be 50, right? It's got to be 50. The only way you can get that 50 is to let go of the other things that you're doing that you shouldn't be, right? And I think this leads beautifully into a situation where, I had a Salesforce partner that I'm working with at the moment, comes from Accenture, as, really good pedigree, great background, just started. And when I started mentoring him, it was things weren't getting done. It's not because he's not smart enough. It's just the fact that he had so many things in time. And that's when I reached out to Matt and said, hey, Matt, look, can you provide someone? I hadn't spoken to you for a while. I didn't know if you're still doing what you were doing. We basically, you got him a person. And I said to you before we went live to air is that every call, he's basically talking about the things that, oh, that's taken care of. So you talked about it before. He used to have bring on contractors, and there's a huge amount of work that's been done. Developing the SOPs. He didn't really want to do the SOPs, but didn't have capacity. Now he's got SOPs in his business as it grows, filtering the emails, etc., so that he's only doing the most critical things. So all the things you mentioned before, now when we actually spend our sessions together, they are based on growth, and they're based on like running campaigns to his existing client base, which he's never run before. Like they're all revenue generating things rather than the things that weren't. I think there's and you can hit me up or Matt after this to get more details on that. But, that's just a really practical example of how these chief of staffs can really make a difference. And you don't have to be his version of it. You can create your own version based on that strategic versus tactical sheet. And for you, Matt, like you said, you're sort of building a large team. What's the talent pool like in the Philippines at the moment? In another way of saying that, how long would it take if someone wanted to start today? How long would it take for you to get a bum on the seat?
For higher level roles, right? These people aren't just sitting around. So you actually have to do the exact same thing you do in Australia, the United States is go find them, right? It's not just you have a database and you're like, oh yeah, I'm leaving today, right?
Yeah.
So that would take about 4 to 6 weeks to find the right person for a higher level role. If you want a lower level role, obviously that's quicker, right? But you can find in the Philippines anywhere from a general assistant to someone like we have the person I hired to run our business ran a 400 person team. right? So you have you have a huge range. I think for the person you're mentioning, she was really experienced. It took about 4 weeks to find her.
Yes.
And we recruited her from a Filipino company with active sourcing, which means we reached out to her. And that's the difference. Go find the people versus sitting there just waiting for them to apply to a job, right? There are great people out there, just go get them. So I would say about 4 to 6 weeks is a reasonable amount of time to get them onboarded. And in that time, Paul, if you don't have SOPs, standard operating procedures, we can help you do that. Don't worry about that. That's the other thing. Don't worry if you're not ready today. The beauty is in a few weeks, we can get you there.
And look, when I ran the outsourcing business, I used to joke, once you have someone, you never, like, it mightn't be that individual, but that role you never give back, right? And so I had my first, similar to you, I sort of saw the opportunity. It worked so well for me, then I provided it to others. And yeah, it just becomes an essential part of your team. For example, last weekend on Friday, I went up to my dad's, haven't seen him for a while. And, I'm driving along, I'm listening to podcasts to do research. I'm thinking of ways I can drive the business. Who was doing my emails? Who was managing the team? Who was doing all of that I didn't have to worry about? Who was handling client requests? Was my chief of staff. So, it really does make a fundamental difference to your business. Now, we could talk forever on this, Matt, and we'll probably get you back on the show as you provide more people into our community as great examples like the one I mentioned before. But what we're going to do now is just take a short break before we go to the rapid fire. Running a tech consulting business can feel like a solo journey, but what if you didn't have to navigate it alone? Introducing the Tech Collective, your go-to resource for tackling those burning questions and unlocking your potential. Join a dynamic collective of experienced tech consultants ready to share insights, strategies, and support to help you today. Grappling with sales, clients, team challenges, our Tech Collective has your back. Join us today at paulhigginsmentoring.com/TC. There's a link in the show notes. There's a small application, and as a thank you for being a listener, enter the coupon code TC, capital TC25 at checkout. That's TC25 to get 25% off. Visit paulhigginsmentoring.com/TC today. So, Matt, you ready for the rapid fire questions?
Let's do it.
All right. So the first one is for you. What are some of the daily habits that you do?
So recently I started getting up at 5 a.m. and at 5, my wife is not as happy about that. At 5 a.m., I will go exercise for 20 minutes or about half hour. Then I will meditate. Then I will read. It's not original. It's a book called 5 a.m. Club. I highly recommend. Give it a try. I actually love it despite how miserable I was at first.
Yeah, brilliant. And the next is, where do you said you read, but where else do you go to learn how to grow, extend your team?
Number one thing is I talk to people. I honestly, so many people are worried about giving away their idea and they're going to lose business or something. It's not going to happen. Talk to everyone about your business, ask their opinion, and let people tell you why you suck, right? It's fine. There's no way to get better. The favorite line I have is, I heard this when I was applying to business school. Don't be afraid to kill your favorite baby. Yeah. This is when you're writing something, right? Don't be afraid that someone's going to tell you your idea is terrible. It's only going to make it better. Talk to people as much as you can.
Yeah. And what's one wish we could grant you?
One wish that you can grant me?
Yeah, for the business.
For the business. I have a lot of wishes. One wish I think one wish that you could grant me would be for me to help me go deep in a niche.
Yeah.
Right. Really go deep in a specific niche and help a specific niche. Right. Everyone says, I want clients, but that's not really what I want. I want help focusing. Right. Even me, who has a large team, right? I think where I need to grow is go down in a specific niche, serve them extremely well, and create solutions that no one thought of for that specific niche. That's my wish.
Right. And the last one is, what do you know now from running Extend Your Team that you wish you had have known earlier?
Yeah, I'm not special. That's the number one thing I've learned when on my entrepreneurial journey. I first thought I was special. I've learned I'm not. There are people that can do things way better. And 99%, and I say 99% of my tasks I should not be doing.
Brilliant. Well, look, as I said, thanks for providing great people into our community. I've seen the direct benefits of that, and it's not just within tech consultant community. I know you've done it before as well for other clients well, target clients that I've worked with. And as you can tell, like if Matt isn't a business person, he'd probably be a journalist. He asks some brilliant questions, and he'll really make sure that he's placing, well, you're ready for the person, and he's also placing the right person. And he always puts two really strong candidates together. They've got a great onboarding process and a recruitment process. He's very professional, and I highly recommend you sort it out and just stop doing the stuff you shouldn't be doing, right? It's not helping you, and it's not helping you reach your ambitions and your growth. So, Matt, thanks a lot for coming on today.
Great to see you, Paul. Thanks for having me.
What a great interview with Matt. Like I said, I've worked with him for a long time, and he's very good at his job, which is finding new top talent. So reach out to Matt on LinkedIn, ask him questions, say that you saw him or met him through the podcast, and the link to his LinkedIn will be in the show notes. Also, share it with your peers, especially those that you know are drowning and are putting off until when it's right. And as you heard from Matt and I today, there's never a right time. The right time is now. And also, Matt's got a fantastic asset that he's going to provide to help you hire top talent. Just go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/extend. Once again, we'll have the link in that show notes. Watch the episode on Paul Higgins Mentoring, the YouTube. And if you like what you see, please subscribe so you get all of our interviews. And I'll see you next time on the Paul Higgins Show. Time for action. Let me know what you implemented from the show. I promise to respond. Plus, get the Tech Consultants Roadmap at paulhigginsmentoring.com/roadmap.